If God tells me that I'm a man who has no other choice than to say that men who have choices are men that are better at making choices than me, I'm like you, you're like me, we're two the same, different people is not true. We can be different, we can be wrong, we can be right and still exist in the same plane, isn't true. If we're wrong, we're wrong. If we're right, we're right. If we're wrong in the wrong way, that right is not right, then we're wrong about being right, and right isn't what we like when right is what we prefer to live and exist. Liking right is something we can choose to do. If right is what we like to do all the time is right, when right doesn't have any more right to give, then to share that right is what chooses for you. When right is what you choose all along, then you're choosing with more might. Right is not your own right to choose right. It's your right to choose right. So right can be what you write down, your own words of right. When there's right to write, when there's right to, you can say about right that you know that writing is right to write. A word or two about what's right and wrong about you is not true. You can write all you want and write words into oblivion of right, and then say nothing right in other people's eyes, who think that your right simply is just a version of wrong, and versions of wrong can be exist as right in someone's mind until the wrong that they exist is right in their mind and exists right. If you're wrong to be right today and wrong is what you exist for another day, then wrong is what you exist indefinitely is not true. You can write your way to a better right by writing your own rights, by making right your way of living right, and write it into your own heart. To say, if my heart rings true with right, then I'm the one who has true right to share about what's right inside of me. And I write myself into a better right of living right and sharing right, and knowing that right is what makes me better about feeling I have right to share true. And when I want to write myself into a better state of right, I don't choose to say wrong. I don't choose to tell my own existence a wrong existence. It is in the right world. And our wrong existence I don't persist is a wrong existence that can't consist of right, because I'm a wrong existence in a right world. If right is what you choose to live, right is what you can choose to believe is right to you, and choose to be when you don't have a right of any other sort in you to believe is right for you, then don't write yourself into a less right and end up being wrong about your chances of being more right. Right yourself, right your ship, right your ways, and right your direction, so that right is the direction that you flow, and others see the right that you can be even when the wrong surrounds you that you don't believe, and then until you believe will succumb and absorb your own will. Your own will can succumb to wrong by not knowing that the lesser right is wrong. The lesser right you choose, compromise, can be more wrong than wrong, isn't true. A compromise is just a different version of right in the eyes of those who can't decide between two rights, but choose a greater or lesser right to avoid a greater wrong. A compromise can be what chooses for you too, when there is no choice left for you except to lose. And so right is what you say is your own salvation. And when you choose right today, you'll choose right again the next day is not a guarantee until you choose right forever. And when you choose right that way, you can choose to be wrong and then be the one who's right by simply saying, I don't wish to be wrong. It's not enough sometimes for a hardened soul. It's not right enough for a dark soul. It's not true. It's not right for anyone when there's doubt in how they choose to be more right. Choose yourself into more right. Believe that your more right is existing in you. Believe you can exist as a right person too. Don't believe that you're wrong as what is the wrong that you're only of, simply because you reduce the amount of right you believe in one day. And if the world makes you believe that you're wrong because it wrongs you left and right, it isn't the world doing it to you. Believe it's you existing more wrong than you need. And so the wrong choices that you don't believe can be what sink your ship, come to the surface, so that you see what it means to be wrong and what you do. And if the wrong choice that you make is a reflection of a greater wrong that you persist in, then that greater wrong that you blame, that you do for the wrong you exist or finds you, then it is the wrong of that choice that you must focus on and rejoice that you know what to correct so clearly that you don't choose that wrong again. There's no lesser right in choosing wrong when the lesser right of that wrong is still wrong. So if you say anything, any vice, any wrong, any way to listen, be, or exist that's wrong, that you know you are and you know you shouldn't and you shouldn't isn't the final answer. It's when you feel the weight of what it is that you do wrong in the aftermath of what you know was a choice you shouldn't have done is a choice that tells you, this is why I lose. And if it is the only reason that you choose to say you lose, then it's the only reason that you can focus on and change now. And see what direction your world flows. See what happens in the next hour. You don't know. See what happens in the next day or two if you choose right and not that wrong. Don't persist in a wrong that is your existence. Don't persist in a wrong that is persistent. Don't exist in that wrong until you know it's the right way for you to never exist as a true. Never exist in something that you know is wrong. Never persist in something that you know is wrong. But when you know something is wrong, you don't feel it sometimes it's true, and that's why you keep choosing it. When you know at the core part of who you are inside, all the way down to the very smallest part of what you don't know of you, when it knows and gets filled with that knowledge of you being wrong in your choice. It is your whole that fills with the understanding of you, that you're the one who needs to not lose anymore because you are tired of being the one who loses anything at all to what is a wrong choice. You know, when it comes to bite you in the end, when it eventually does, and it'll bite others sooner too, it's you that understands that you're wrong. It's a wrong that you don't want to share with you and others anymore too. It's a wrong that lowers your existence by being a wrong that makes you less of existence. And if you're an addict like me, and if drugs are your vice, drugs are what make you feel nice, and drugs are what you love to do to escape your existence, then if you escape your existence with drugs into a lesser existence, then you must at some point decide that it's not for you anymore. It's got to be something so profound isn't true. Sometimes you just have to not be a fool or a clown and just know that it's okay to try, to just not do it, and to try the things that make it work for you to be less an addict for sure. Or no addict at all is the best thing that you can do. Don't believe that every chance you had in the past is the only chance you really had to make it last. You're at the precipice of understanding that that's not true. If you're an addict like me, who has existed with a disease, and a disease isn't something that lasts forever, then when you hit your rock bottom, you better hope it's a soft rock bottom, because rock bottoms that are hard are hurtful as hell bottoms. And don't believe that you can't exist in your wrong. Don't believe that it's going to overwhelm you if you just go back to it one time. If you go back to it one time and you just hate it, that hate will be what you remember true. That hate will be what you absolutely don't need to feel, and it will see you through because you love yourself more. Don't believe that hate from love is something that doesn't work. Don't believe that hate from love is something that can't hurt you or others, because it's sometimes a hurt that you or others need when you lead with love, and the love that you lead with is the hate inside that it makes you feel for something like drugs. If you're an addict who hates that you use them, you hate drugs because they make you less. You hate drugs because they test you at your least, and they test you into making a least life isn't true. They ensure your life becomes less because they ensure the path to less, and they ensure your existence to nothing if you use them the way addicts use them and die. Your death is not a foregone conclusion. If you're an addict like me, you're not going to be someone that needs to take a knee too. But you also need to know that if you're an addict who needs to get high, if you choose to let that sickness rise, if you choose to let your feelings for the high become what overwhelm you, and then you do nothing about it after you get it, that hatred of that sickness is what God gifts to addicts who have opiates on their list of drugs they love to do just to be high. It's the sickness that God says is Him speaking to you with the love that's Him. He gives you the sickness that you hate because He loves you. He doesn't want you to go back to it, and the sickness is different for everyone, but the sickness is the same overall, so people can feel it. They know that it's wrong in the end. They know that it's wrong to be an addict who thinks that the sickness is just a temporary state because they can get rid of it. It's the sickness that tells you you're wrong. It's the sickness that tells you you've gone long. It's the sickness that tells you, get your shit together. You don't want to have to do this because you don't need to. All you got to do is get clean, and the sickness won't be there to move you in the directions that addicts do things that they hate more and then hate themselves more too. So if you want to be somebody who doesn't feel that the precipice of your life is in the wrong, then you really are going to be wrong forever because life's about to end. Don't believe it's true. Believe that pain can help you. Believe it could be just a signpost that says, time to change direction.